talk about something which continues to bother the common man. Fuel continues to be on fire, and the fuel prices see a hike for the 14th day as crude continues to be on the decline. My colleague Rituparna Nath gets us the latest updates. Ritu, what is the math here as we see the 14th day of hike?
We've seen that fuel prices have fallen by almost, it has fallen to the $75 mark. And crude was hovering around the $80 mark a few days back, and this is happening on signs with OPEC and Russia suggesting that they will be increasing output by 1 million barrels per day. And because of that, crude has fallen by 5.5%, and WTI crude has fallen by almost 7%. However, we've not seen the prices, the cooling come to effect in fuel prices back at home, where petrol and diesel are still at its record high, where petrol is costliest in Mumbai, around over 85 rupees. Diesel is costliest in Hyderabad. And it looks like if crude prices continue to fall the way it is, the government will no more need to worry about an excise duty cut, considering its fiscal position, which it was already not very sure of doing. And they will also not have to come up with any strategy because the crude prices, we can see the ceiling in the prices in a 15-day rolling period according to the formula. So although the prices are at a record high right now, we can expect the prices to come down soon as crude is coming down.
Right, that is true. But Ritu, you've been keeping a track of the price hike that's been happening over the last fortnight. What is the sentiment that you're getting from not just consumers but also experts and also industry people?
So we've seen that prices ahead of the polls were not revised for 19 days. And we have also spoken to the OMCs who said the prices were not revised back in the ahead of the elections because it was not favoring the fundamentals, and we see the prices, reflected in the price. We see the effect on the prices on a 15-day rolling period. So our experts, however, were of the opinion that crude prices and the government needs to come up with a formula to give relief to the consumers. However, it was not possible for the government to go for an excise duty cut because that would hurt their fiscal position. And also, they could not, even if a small excise duty cut wouldn't be a big relief to the consumers, considering that on fuel is so high in the states. And states, despite, there are 21 states, BJP ruled states, and that has not been reduced. Any of the states except 4 states, so that also was a minuscule effect. And we've seen the government increase, excise duty for 9 times to shore up their finances, which they said the revenue was being used for welfare schemes. However, they've only cut excise duty once. So the question here was, if the government did not pass on when crude prices, the government came to power when the crude prices were lowest. They did not pass on that benefit to the consumers. So the question is, why are the consumers suffering now and bearing the brunt when crude is at such a high? It falls on the government to provide some relief to the consumers now. So that is the biggest concern. But it looks like that now crude prices continue to fall. We'll probably expect some relief coming their way. And of course, now that the polls are over, the government is also not in an emergency situation where they have to bring down the prices.
Yes, Ritu, definitely that is a big concern because that's a big question which a lot of people are starting to ask, and the government has not yet really offered any kind of explanation as to why the previous relief on crude prices has not been passed on, and now that we're seeing a rise in the crude prices, the consumers have to bear the brunt of that. But you just said, you just spoke about the relief coming in, hopefully. In fact, I was just reading the fact that OPEC is also likely to hold a meeting next month. They're looking at actually raising oil output because for the last 1.5 years, they've been only talking about production supply cuts. But this time around, they're looking at raising the oil output, right? So could that also offer some kind of relief on the pricing front?
Absolutely. So OPEC and Russia are meeting and discussing about increasing oil output by 1 billion barrels per day, and they're reviewing the 17-month oil price that was in place that was cutting down production by almost 1.8 million barrels per day. So this is coming in the coming in Middle East, where there's a concern about excesses. They had done this in the first place to bring down the supply glut, and now that we see that with US imposing threatening to impose sanctions on Iran, we can expect there's a fear of decreasing output from Iran. So amidst all that fear, OPEC and Russia have decided to increase output. Of course, that is a major reason why food prices have fallen to a level. And again, another factor why OPEC and Russia were planning to keep crude, cut down the supply glut and increase the price of crude was because of Saudi Aramco's listing, which is planned to go ahead in this year. But considering all of this, it looks like OPEC and Russia have decided to increase the output, which will definitely cool down the crude prices. Now, we have to wait and watch when this price effect is seen in fuel prices back at home, back in India, where definitely needs to come down. Where there were talks about the government might be reaching out to upstreams, oil and ONGC, and ask them to share the subsidy burden, which they had once done for more than 13 years up till 2015, where they contributed almost 40% of the annual subsidy bill, and also bring down dealers' commission by 23 paisa for petrol and 18 paisa for diesel. But also, again, if that is done for considering ONGC, which was once a debt-free company, has 35,000 crore loan on its books because of its strategic merger with HPCL, and also ONGC has to pay 20% ad valorem cess. So it is not also a very feasible thing to do for ONGC. So keeping all this in mind, we can only hope for the best to happen is that food prices are coming down. We can expect the fuel prices to come down in India as well in the next few days.
Thanks, Ritu, then, for giving us all these updates and giving us the perspective of consumers as well as industry insiders as to what they feel is likely to happen going forward.